So I was looking back at decks that we had played in Historic that felt kind of reasonable that I wanted to revisit. And this one was towards the top of my list because I think it's kind of sweet and it doesn't really get enough attention based on how good it's felt the last couple of times we've played it. So we got Tempered Steel here, a deck that exists in the format by virtue of the Historic anthologies. So 1 white artifact creatures you control get +2/+2 as an enchantment. And then we also have Steel Overseer here as another payoff. Activate it, put a 1/1 counter on every artifact creature you control. So the core of the deck is these two, surrounded by a bunch of cheap artifact creatures or things that make artifact creatures to pump your board up really large. In the most recent HA4, we gained Blinkmoth Nexus, which is a really solid upgrade to this archetype, letting you have a 3/3 flyer with Tempered Steel. Things that survive sweepers and sorcery speed removal in general is really strong. At the very tippy top end of our curve, we got some Showdown of the Skalds, letting us generate some card advantage and put some extra 1 counters on things. Specifically, being able to put 1/1 counters on Inkmoth Nexus is also very strong. Karn, Scion of Urza is a card we've not tried in this deck before, but it seems like a really sweet fit. So, like, the +1 generates some card advantage, and the -2, you know, puts giant artifact things into play when we have a bunch of other artifacts floating around. So, this card not only can be, like, our own personal Howling Mine for 4 mana additional card advantage past Showdown of the Skalds, but this can also take an aggressive role if we're in a position to be ready to close out games. So, let's go ahead and dive on into some matches with this one and see how it feels today. Felt very reasonable last time we played. I'm interested to see if that's a feeling that can keep up. Does Tempered Steel play Signal Pest on the front? Yeah, Signal Pest is a very good card. That card's not historic legal, if I recall correctly. That's a Mirrodin Besieged card. It's not even Pioneer legal. But yeah, his modern Affinity, generally speaking, played Signal Pest. It's a card that helps you attack for more damage when you go wide. Yeah, stand's pretty good. A little bit land heavy, but 2 of our lands attack. We've got Tempered Steel as a payoff to pair with them. So this hand is basically 4 threats payoff if you squint a little bit. Another 1-drop here is a great draw, actually. It means we have to go 1-drop next turn into Tempered Steel on 3. Yeah, our cube draft from yesterday had a good reception on Twitter and YouTube, so we're gonna go ahead and do some more of that today and see if it can repeat. Alright, I think with them playing a bunch of X2s, we just gotta pump the brakes here. The fact that we were on the draw this game is very likely going to be the difference between winning and losing. Had we been on the play, we would have gotten attack in with all of these before they deployed these to the board, and we'd get to play this before they get to attack. Now, unfortunately, we're going to be on the back foot. Maybe this into Karn can stabilize us, but it's going to be a little bit of an uphill fight here for sure. Play draw is a pretty big differential in Magic in general, especially in these aggressive mirrors. No tofu for you, thanks for the follow. But I like tofu. I'm gonna run the no blocks here with Tempered Steel in hand. There's a chance they cleave us here as well. Like, I don't want to try and trade for the Bomat Courier and then get cleaved. If they cleave, we take 6-8 this turn, down to 10. But then I get to get Tempered Steel going and crack them for 9. I probably can't afford to attack them for 9, actually. If they cleave. If they don't cleave, I think we can afford to attack them for 9. They have a Stomp or something here. This will force it out. think I'm just going to go ahead and pump the brakes here. I think we need to play defense. I've got Karn, Scion of Urza in hand that can allow us to generate some card advantage here. So if I take some trades and we make the game go a little bit long, Karn makes that up reasonable for us. These Blinkmoth Nexuses are also pretty decent at going long as well. Burning Tree Emissary is a heck of a card, Neil. Well then.
Evil must not be tolerated. There is great power in the things we make.
There is great power in the things we make. So they've got 6 damage sitting on the board here, theoretically. We're going to get to close out pretty fast, though, with Karn making another thing, another Tempered Steel. Yeah, we're gonna do another cube run today. As long as they get okay metrics, I think we're gonna do one historic deck a day and 1 cube a day this week. We'll see. It's hard to judge the success of something new based on the first segment. Because whenever you do something new for the first time, it always has more interest than it will long term.
Evil cannot withstand a righteous army.
I mean, Overseer, I don't even think we're going to be activating Overseer this game. I think we're probably just, like, firing up to Blinkmoth Nexus and attack with everything next turn. Blinkmoth was a big upgrade to this archetype with HA4. I'm impressed we stabilized that game. Karn was really sweet there. It was nice to see Karn come in and like normally a lot of decks that play this card don't really leverage his -2s in a super strong manner, and being able to see him come down there and represent a good way to control the board was quite fantastic. I got these Bomat Couriers against a deck that has plenty of X2s. Definitely want to bring in Abrades. This could be a Stone matchup on the draw. Also could just be for Abrade. Something to consider too is that like every time you cut things, like you dilute your primary game plan a little bit. So there's definitely merit to like less is more when sideboarding whenever possible. If the card you're bringing in isn't a total ace. I'm gonna click submit and see how it goes. Yeah, and the fact he's able to make 2 tokens back-to-back turns is really, really strong for sure. Honestly, there's a chance that, like, we played Chandra Torture Defiance last time in this deck, and she obviously doesn't synergize, and I've got a couple of her in the board, but there's a chance that, like, some of the Chandras in the board would be better off as more Karns, just because of the aggressive angle he lets you take. Like, maybe it's 3-1 instead of 2-2 in favor of Karn. This hand really needs a 3-drop. It might be wrong to keep this hand just because these are kind of slow and I've got 2 lands that hurt me. I could see it being right to mulligan this. Yeah, Chandra does have some flexibility on what she's able to, on being able to kill things, which is nice for sure. Thing in the Ice is not legal yet. Thing in the Ice was, Shadows of Innistrad, I believe. If I recall correctly. What matchups do you board in Chandra? She's a card that generates card advantage. So you board her in matches where you need to grind a little bit. Against control decks and interactive heavy decks. Yeah, I think we're probably dead. Like I said, I think maybe I should have mulliganed this. Both the mana being painful and these being kind of slow in this matchup is not a good mix. Right on time, Servo Expedition. Even if the opponent's on all bricks from here, we're probably dead. Shadows over Innistrad is next in line for a remaster, right? Theoretically, but we also don't know if we're getting another remaster set next, or if we're getting a like Pioneer Master set that they'd hinted at one point. So as is often the case, Wizards' greatest failing is their inability to communicate with the player base. So who knows what they're planning and why. Yeah, the fact that we like took off turn 3 and then like dealt 4 damage to ourselves with our lands this game. I feel like we could only do one of those two things. We either could have taken off turn 3 or dealt damage to ourselves with the lands. And the fact that we did both means we're just too far behind here. They may not even know what they're planning. Honestly, I think that's true. I think so. I've talked about this on stream before. I think the success of Amonkhet Remastered caught them off guard in terms of how popular it was for Limited. So, if you look, they had originally scheduled a Pioneer Masters. If you look at their first mention of Pioneer Masters, we should have had it already. And I think there's a good chance that the success of the other Limited formats, that they had already had caused them to reevaluate whether or not they wanted to do a Pioneer Masters versus individual set releases. Hey, what's going on, Blake? Thanks for the 23 months. Welcome back. Dead to a stiff breeze here. We're at 4 and they have a Ramunap Ruins, so. Yep, that'll do, pig. That would be pure speculation on your part, Ibnis. I would not be surprised if that's the case, but there's no actual confirmation of what you're saying there being the case. Jay Macon, thanks for the follow. Good morning. I've lived one more turn, but likely dead. Yeah, so there's no life gain in my deck, Blake. So with the inability to gain life and the inability to interact with Ramunap Ruins, the inability to kill them the following turn, we were dead there. There's no reason to take another turn. You're right that I technically wasn't dead that turn, but the game was over. This deck even wants to play Lightning Helix. We probably play some amount of Rip Apart, because Rip Apart is similar to Abrade, but it's a little bit more flexible. Does MH refer to Modern Horizons in your statement there, Jake? Because if so, those two things aren't really related to each other. I'm not sure why you'd bring them up in the same breath. Doesn't really make sense too. One of the greatest skills in Magic is not knowing when you're dead on the current turn, but knowing when you're eventually going to die later on. Yeah, it's like being able to look like that. Last games, it is, honestly, it's an underrated skill in Magic. It's like people's ability to be, okay, I'm not dead this turn, but I actually have no outs left, but I'm not going to die for 3 or 4 more turns, so I should concede now and get on with it. A lot of people have an inability to recognize when they hit that point where, okay, we're done, we need to move on. No, that's not at all what we're talking about, Jake. We're talking about Pioneer remastered on Magic Arena versus things like Amonkhet and Kaladesh remastered. Yeah, we don't really talk about Boomer Magic here. So, it's usually a safe assumption to, like, not assume we're talking about Boomer Magic things when you walk into a conversation halfway. I've definitely been in situations where I'm dead, but my opponent makes such an erroneous mistake I can come back from it. Sure. But here's where you have to ask yourself, why are you playing games of Magic? And you're right that incentives dictate what you're doing. So for example, when I'm playing a match of Magic on the ladder, the result of any individual match on the ladder is actually worthless and meaningless to me as a person. So there's no reason for me to continue to play a ladder match that I have guaranteed lost if my opponent has a brain in their skull, as opposed to moving on to the next one, because my personal goal of playing matches of Magic when I play Magic Arena is learning the ins and outs of the decks that I'm playing and learning how the matchups are going to play out on average. So there's really no incentive for me, like, okay, if my deck, we often talk about, okay, don't worry about the deck that you're playing, don't worry about the record with the current deck that you're playing, think about what happens in the matches. And if the result of the match that I'm playing is I'm going to lose if my opponent doesn't make a really terrible mistake, is in that case, my deck has lost that match, and that's the information that I'm looking for. Thanks for the 16 months, Brad. We ran very badly in this game in the last one. Yeah, these were pretty terrible hits here, for sure. So, I think our best chance to win here is actually fire this up. I think we skip playing these showdowns. I think we activate Blinky here, play Steel Overseer, give this a counter, and then Abrade something, give this a counter. Feels bad that, like, these were our draws and our other 2 Skalds went into exile off of this, though. Definitely not great beats there. I think we just pass here. We're playing Planet Zoo today as a sponsored segment. After Arena this morning. We're gonna do that for an hour or so. I played the other BioShock games. I have not, Coder Chris. I'm told Infinite is its own separate standalone thing. Yeah, references to the other games in the series are different than a continuation. Actually, I should probably block before I put counters on things, huh? Soulscar Mage could make our blocking here go a little bit bad. We have a 1 Blinkmoth Nexus activation, so we can make one of these larger at least. If they point a burn spell at one of our creatures here, though, that's a burn spell that's not going at our face explicitly. This lets this survive, which is unfortunate. Maybe I should have blocked this one here. Yeah, that was probably a mistake on my part. What are spells? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Hopefully our opponent's due to draw some lands here. It's kind of impressive that, like, our opponent's drawn 6 lands, and we've drawn, what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lands? And we're still in this game? That's super unfortunate. This attack is awful. My opponent not realize this is about to be a 5/5. Six, 7. I think we actually only played this for 6 because I want to activate Blinky before I'm gonna do this now before they draw, so that way they can't kill this in response to me activating Blinkmoth. You made a 3/3 to kill Soulscar there. Activating this requires 1 mana plus tapping the Blinkmoth. It's not Mishra's Factory or whatever that creature land is called. So I only had the 2 Blinkmoth plus 1 more land. I could only pump once. So to answer your question directly, no, that wasn't a legal play. Yeah, it has a 1. Honestly, it might have been right to play this as only a 5/5 and hit them with this last turn. So this is 6, 7, this. Did I just crack them here? Well, Tron lands in Historic. I'm gonna give you a 10-minute break to think about what you said. The problem here is, do we lose when they untap due to Grim and the Desert? Is that true? What if they draw, like, if they draw a land here that kills us, but if they draw a creature, we could be okay? The problem is they're probably due to draw some lands, right? I can't really prevent that though, right? Like, I can't force 3 blocks on them here. So, like, again, like, thinking about like, am I dead to a land? Then the answer is like, can I beat a land? The answer is no. If you attack with the Serpent, they're forced, sure, but they're not forced to block with Grim Lavamancer, so it doesn't really accomplish anything. They have a number of haste creatures. I'm gonna attack with just Blinkmoth and hope they draw a creature. This game's really close considering how poorly we drew. Our Showdown of the Skalds was so unfortunate. It hit such bad hits. Yeah, we're hoping for like another Robber of the Rich here, or something along those lines. Dead to Stiff Breeze, but not guaranteed. And if we get another turn, there's a good chance we kill them. Yeah, sick. Maybe I should have attacked with Stonecoil Serpent. Maybe the play last turn was attack with Stonecoil Serpent instead of the Blinkmoth, so we trampled for a bunch. Did I mess this up? Maybe I messed this up. Welcome back, Burden. Good morning, good morning. Yeah, I think I punted this. Yeah, because they block all three of these and they shoot me and then they kill me with runes, right? Yeah, if I would have attacked with Serpent last turn, they would have taken like 6, and then they'd be at 9, and then the Stonecoil Serpent here was lethal. Yeah, I threw this one. Which honestly really impressive for our deck. Like we drew very poorly there, and our opponent drew like exactly a medium amount of lands and a lot of aggro. Well, they have to block with Grim Lavamancer, but they get to shoot us, and then they have Ramunap Ruins in play to deal the last 2. See, I threw based on what I attacked with the previous turn. Yeah, the reach on the Robber being relevant there. Part of the calculation that slipped my mind. Winning a die roll would be nice, but our hand's pretty good. To lose Tempered Steel Thoughtseize, yep. 80 card deck, never not Thoughtseize on one chip. I assume we're going to lose Tempered Steel here unless they have way to interact with it. If they have way to interact with this, they might take Bomat Courier. But I assume they have more ways to kill this than this. I suppose they could take this too if they don't have a sweeper. Alright, can we hit a land on curve? Needs to be specifically a white land too. I mean, like, so again, like, I've talked about this, like, part of the reason why I finally got sick of Standard was after playing a bunch of the current Standard format and then playing a bunch of Historic, the current Standard format's just, like, shitty Historic. Like, basically every archetype you can play in Standard that's competitive, you can play and is competitive in Historic, and then Historic also has dozens of other decks past those couple that are also competitive. So it really doesn't feel like there's a compelling reason to play Standard right now. It's like, sure, like there's some neat things going on, but like all of those neat things are also legal here. I'm gonna play this to play around Doom Foretold a little bit. I mean, Temur Adventures is competitive in Historic as well. Need one of our sources of card advantage here to have a shot this game. Our ideal draw is like Blinkmoth Nexus next turn into Showdown or Karn the following turn. Well, yeah, that's exactly my point, Jake, man. Is like, Temur Adventures is competitive in this format, but it isn't the only thing you can be doing, so you see people doing other things. Like, you hit the nail exactly on the head there. So, like, yes, Temur Adventures is competitive, but, like, it's not, like, the only thing you really do. Alright, they're turning my 5/5 into a 3/3 here. This is why, Yorian here is why I waited to play this, because I wanted them to not be able to blink both to grab both of them. Nice. But Matty boy, thank you for the 55 months. Excited to get poked and get together again soon. Oh, they could be on the list from the championship that was just like the anti-oven deck? Sure. That build's actually probably a much better matchup for us than the Doom Foretold builds that are going around. This archetype seemed pretty narrow. Like, it's good against Oven, which is what their team built it to be, but it struggles against a lot of other things in the format. Just a little bit too fair. A lot of its hate cards are looking to specifically prey on one thing, and when those hate cards aren't great, the deck as a whole is kind of eh. Hypnos! Thank you for the 17 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Keeping me around. Good morning. Sure, I mean, again, Historic's a format where you should just play what you like, so I'm not saying my opponent shouldn't be playing their deck, I'm just being descriptive of what their deck is based on my experience. Do this now. That auto pass value in. This is a pretty impressive game considering our opponent wiped our board on turn 4, and we haven't drawn any of our card advantage. Someone asked earlier what type of matchup Chandra was in our sideboard for. It's exactly this kind of matchup, where our opponent's 1-for-1ing us a bunch. You'll never catch me! I'm the gingerbread man! This is low-key one of the best cards in this deck, by the way, if you haven't played this deck before. Boarded Deuce, thank you for the 19 months. Welcome back. Voltaic, thank you for the 51. Thank you for the tier 2. Good morning, good morning. He's coming for you, chat. Alright, so they're a Yorion deck that plays like Knight of Autumn and Skyclave Apparition and Yarshan. Yarshan's probably coming against us. Is this an Honor Guard matchup? It's definitely a Chandra matchup. Is it an Honor Guard matchup? I feel like the answer is probably yes. Does that turn off enough stuff? Why does this deck have 6 ETB stoppers in the side? Because both Angels and Goblins are hard matchups. And these cards are absurd in both of those matchups. I actually know if I want them here. I'm not sure they quite do enough, and boarding them in disrupts our artifact synergies. I click submit, just bringing in the Chandras for a touch more grind here. Again, when you're playing a deck like what we're playing, if you're not 100% certain how you're supposed to be sideboarding, less is more. The more cards you board in, the more you dilute your primary aggressive game plan. And ideally, you want to be the beatdown in most matchups. Hand's all right. Tap playing Gingerbrute. Ideally, we draw another 1-drop here so we can have triple 1-drop into Tempered Steel. Honor Guard shuts off Wall of Blossoms too. Maybe I do want that on the play. Yeah, the death half of the trigger isn't really relevant in this format. And not losing your can't enters play card to things that deal 2 is valuable, yeah. So, I don't really want to play Tempered Steel. Or, I don't really want to play Showdown until turn 5 anyways, so I think I actually just do this and get a card under Bomat Courier to start. And get in a point of damage here, and then play a tapped land. And then, like, we can, like, play Blinkmoth plus this next turn if we brick off again, and then Showdown on 5. Because, like, if I just play Tempered Steel this turn, I only have a 3/3, and it just bounces off. We don't deal any damage. We did very cleverly leave the second Bomat Courier on top so it didn't get Legion's End. I actually really hate the design of this card. We talked about this card when it was in Standard a lot because the fact that this card gives you just 0 player agency to play around it, you like can't play out your multiple copies, you can't hold them in your hand. The only way you play around it is by being lucky and having your extra card on top, extra copy on top of your deck. Really hate cards like this that remove your ability to play around them 2-for-1-ing you. What's going on, Dr. Mr. Putty? We had a really good set against Mono Red to start that I threw game 3 in, but it was still good all the same. Brainstorm gives some agency against Sassoon. Stop it. Here's a lukewarm take, J-Dubs. The decks that Legion's End is good against largely aren't Brainstorm decks. There's a Field of the Dead counter for Standard, right? Yeah, Bile. I agree that Bile Blight I would have preferred Bile Blight. If they have Yorion in hand here, we're probably dead. I guess Showdown of the Skalds can let us grind through it potentially, but I believe their archetype plays a bunch of Yorions in the deck as well. So if they get to blink Binding here and kill Tempered Steel, plus like Wall of Blossoms, we're going to be pretty far behind. Yeah. I honestly feel like this card was one of the most erroneous misses of the Fire Design era. Like I feel like it should have been more obvious that this card wasn't okay the way it was statted. The fact that they missed on how irrelevant the 20 extra cards is really offensive. No, all current Magic design is Fire Design. Right, what did I say that people are feeling I implied it was over? Current era, I said Fire Design era, right? That doesn't imply that we're not out of that. I think that's a pretty wrong, jaded, silly take. I think the idea that the card designers are making decisions based on MTG finance is probably very wrong. That's super tinfoil hatty. What does Fire Design mean? Google it. They're not racing us super quickly here. This is our first game in this set, getting to see Showdown of the Skalds punch the clock and go to work for us. Next turn, we're gonna get to drop a Showdown, stack some counters, play Tempered Steel, stack some counters. Yeah, that's what Fire Design actually means, is a bunch of game design buzzwords. Wow, they killed their own Yorion. Deal. I mean, those 1-drops are scary. I told you that Gingerbrute is low-key one of the best cards in this deck. Opponent knows. Good on Wolfin. Yeah, I check up on most of the Discord channels after I get done streaming. So we're actually gonna get to attack for 10 this turn, right? Because we get 2 1/1 counter triggers here. So we're gonna play Showdown, stack 2 counters, play Tempered Steel, stack 2 counters, give them +2/+2. Relevant Magic-related links are always welcome in chat. I don't know that what you posted in here, the context of the tweet that you posted, I don't know if that's really appropriate to share. Alright, and like suddenly they need another sweeper, and even if they sweep these out here, we get to activate Blinkmoth, play a bunch of stuff next turn, stack 1/1 counters on it. Okay. My Legion has ended. Oh, you know what? I messed up last turn, right? I could have put a second Blinkmoth into play. You're fine. Don't trick people into tabbing themselves out if they don't want to. Okay, so I have 7 mana total here. This will be 8. I think I don't try and push lethal this turn. I just flood the board with everything here. I don't think there's any reason. Well, I mean, they literally have a blocker in play, right? I guess I could leave the Sparring Construct at home and force the chump block this turn. That's probably fine, right? You're like, do this, do this. Yeah, that's probably fine.
Faced worse than the likes of you.
They could have Heartless Act, yeah. If they have Heartless Act, they get to eat this. I think that's still fine though. They're just conceding. Okay. Even if they kill this. Would I consider doing a subathon like Ludwig is doing currently? No, as an adult with children who are currently at home 24/7 because we're at the tail end of a pandemic, hopefully tail end of a pandemic, doing something like Ludwig is doing currently is not practical or reasonable for me. Maybe during more typical times. Damaska, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. I plan to stream a bit more when the next card set drops, but doing more than like 50 or 60 hours a week live is a tough sell in the current state of the world. Ludwig's the guy being held hostage by a bunch of subs. Yes! He's really being held hostage while people dump piles of money on him. I'm sure his life is terrible. For people that aren't familiar with Twitch chat news, Ludwig currently has something like north of 200,000 subscribers concurrently on Twitch. And every time someone subscribes to him, he's adding 10 seconds to his stream duration. And he's been streaming for like almost 3 weeks straight or something like that. Any success trying Sanctums? I have no idea what you're referring to. And to Ludwig's credit, I believe he's donating a significant amount of the money he's making. So like, if he wasn't donating it, he'd be pocketing like over $1 million from that. But or close to it, but I believe he's doing some amount of it for charity. I don't recall the exact details. I'm not super into. I thought it was more than 25%. I thought he said he was donating $1 for every sub, which is more than a quarter. Larger streamers get $3.50 per sub. The Zipples! Thanks for the 10 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Elvish Rejuvenator, eh? Ludwig has 38,000 people watching him sleep right now. That's not creepy at all. Yeah, he also has to pay taxes on all of that money. All things considered, he's probably making Twitch more money than he's making himself. Sama, thanks for the follow. Although it would be interesting to see a breakdown of how many of the subs he's getting are gift subs versus paid subs, because a lot of paid subs will auto-renew. Just drop a Showdown here. Drop it like it's hot. Hoping to find a 1-mana artifact to play here. Nice.
Some solutions must be built.
He still has more regular subs than gift subs. Okay, so he's like over 100,000 concurrent actual subscribers. Yeah. Karn's artifact army looking pretty good here. It is a lot of subs. I think Ninja holds the record for most concurrent subscribers ever on Twitch at, I believe at like 260,000, somewhere thereabouts. Clarion's really unfortunate for us. Well, Ninja doesn't currently have 260. Concurrent subscribers can fluctuate a lot month to month. Alright, so I have a Showdown of the Skalds trigger right now. So do I want to stack counters on a Blinkmoth Nexus? Probably. Yeah, Stonecoil having protection from... Honestly, maybe I should have done this last turn. Alright, I'm going to activate this. And then I think I'm going to play this for 1. And then also play Karn. Mixer, I believe Mixer paid Ninja 8 figures.
Let us be all.
Was what I heard about that deal. It was low 8 or high 7 too. Or can you find those stats like who has the most subs on Twitch? They're technically not public. Yes, 8. Yeah, I heard 10 to 12. There are third-party websites that like put bots in the channels of large streamers that manually track then who has what, but technically that information is not accessible via the Twitch API. I'm sure because of, you know, typical capitalism, don't tell people what you make reasons. I, for example, at this very minute have 1,962 concurrent subscribers.
Allow me to introduce you to a friend of mine.
I think we tempered steel here, so that way... I guess these don't die to a Clarion regardless. Do I just, like, play another Stonecoil Serpent out? If I play another Stonecoil Serpent out, we still dodge Clarion. We'll put a point on here. I could play both of these this turn, and then next turn we go Gingerbrute into Tempered Steel. I kind of like that line. Yeah, these all trample. This is definitely a potential downside to going wide like I did. That being said, I think we're still fine, right? So I get to activate this. Activate this. Oh, I shouldn't have activated the second one, right? No, this is fine, because we do this, we shock this in, we do this, we attack for 10 in the air. Blinkmoth is so good.
Good choice.
Obviously should have done that before I shocked in my other land. It amazes me, Bluefire, how many people work in this industry that I work in are very ignorant of how the industry actually works. Just many people who just don't have a clue. Good morning, Wolf. Speaking of sub-gifts and bombs. Howdy, howdy. They're dead to this spell, right? That is incredibly generous of you. Welcome to our new members of Homelandia. Let's catch up to Ludwig. Bezos pays me right now, so it's your money, really. God bless. I had 500 seconds to the clock. That does put us above 2,000 concurrent subscribers. Yeah, we've been floating right about 2,000 since I went back to doing magic. I think we just, again, board out the Hope, board in Chandra. Maybe actually I like Hope better than Sparring Construct in this matchup, because our opponent is playing sweepers, can stop a sweeper for a turn, which is really nice. Yeah, if Wolf has something they like to see play on stream, they're always welcome to add something. Can we play a blue-black deck? Yeah, definitely. Ship it. This is fine. Not amazing, but fine. Turn 1 Bomat Courier is hard to be too sad about. We aim to please 3/4. To our newest members of Hoglandia, by the way, gift subs are the same as normal subs too. So if you're interested in playing in the upcoming Hoglandia Open with the release of the upcoming set, Strixhaven in the Archives, be sure to check that out. Be sure to pop on into the subscriber Discord server to chat about Magic, games, life, and all sorts of other stuff. Welcome to the channel. You got a Clarion here. Just to note the Gaia, sure. Yeah, definitely, Wolf. Stonecoil Serpent seems pretty good against their Niv-Mizzet deck. All things considered. Oh, it looks like GitHub. Does the raw work? Oh, the raw works. Okay. Silly GitHub formatting. Doesn't like on the preview. Raw gives the proper formatting. This red black shadow. Okay, so we're definitely playing Ramunap Ruins. I think I want to just hit them with... I think I want to put a counter on here rather than make this huge. Because, like, their deck's playing Time Wipe. So I want to... Like, if I pay 5 and make this huge and they Time Wipe me, I'm pretty sad. So I'd rather get a counter on this Blinkmoth to give me more lasting power through a Time Wipe next turn. And this is protection from multicolored, so we attack right past your here. And then next turn, we get to go ahead and activate this, play a land, play another Showdown. Capitalism was a mistake, ain't that? I don't know that I'd go as far as to say that capitalism was a mistake, but the unregulatedness of it all is definitely has some issues. You want to activate Hope this turn? I think there's some appealing parts of capitalism. Yeah, we just need like some more safety nets around the edges and like some reasonable. What was it? There's always that viral tweet that goes around where it's like, once you make a certain amount of money, everything you make past it should be taxed 100%, and you should just be told you won capitalism, and everything you make past that goes to improving society for everybody else. It's like pick a number, like you make $1 billion per year. And then after that, it's just you tap out. And you're like, you won capitalism. They erect a park in your honor, and then we take the rest of your money and we do profitable things with it. Alright, let's do one more with Tempered Steel, and we're gonna play some Red Black Shadow that Wolf in a Barrel sent in. Yes, I fully agree with that, Avocado. Every billionaire is a policy mistake. The amount of money you can make from hard work stops probably somewhere in like the low 7 figures. Like an average person working an honest job over a lifetime, they could easily accumulate, you know, a couple of $1 million eventually over a lifetime in what they earn. But you don't achieve billions of dollars without stealing the work of others. Hi everybody who's new to the channel, welcome. In case you might have gotten the impression from the conversation we're having, in addition to playing Magic, I am also what I describe myself as aggressively progressive. We talk about politics and other things like that on this channel on occasion, and a lot of other places shy away from that. But I'm a father of 3 small children. I have a vested interest in improving my country and my planet for their future. I would really like them to have a world to live on 50, 60, 100 years from now. And I think, not even that I think, not talking about important issues only serves to maintain the status quo and is only good for people in power and bad for everybody else. We played around a sweeper here. I feel like I'm not. I feel like I'm just like, play 2 more 1-drops and set up our turn 3 attack for 9. It has been a lot of Yorion decks. It is worth noting that all the Yorion decks we've played against have been fairly different, at least. Like, this is the 3rd different Yorion deck in a row. I think it's important to acknowledge. Do they have a Yorion in hand? If they have a Yorion in hand, we could be in trouble here. If they don't have a Yorion in hand, we're in an okay spot. Well, they could murder both of our things. Maybe I was supposed to sack Hope this turn. It could definitely have been possible. I'm just playing a 4/4 here. You can't expect the government to make good monetary decisions. Stop it. You can't in fact expect the government to make good monetary decisions. The idea that the government is bad at what it does and shouldn't be trusted is a lie perpetuated by conservatives who work to undermine the government's ability to do good things. Also, like, billionaire philanthropy is a bullshit lie that served to distract normal people who don't understand how tax laws and incentives actually work. If you think billionaire philanthropy is a good thing, good job. You're the idiot that they're looking to convince them of that. Anything charitable that is done should be looked at in terms of the proportion of the amount of money that you make. A billionaire who's actually charitable won't remain a billionaire because nobody needs that amount of money to exist and survive. Nobody needs that amount of money to exist and survive. They don't. Yes, exactly that. Compulsive hoarding is a great way to describe it. Alright, so it's Showdown of the Skalds versus Nissa here. They had no cards in hand and they drew Emergent Ultimatum. Feels magic, man. If businesses can't make money, I didn't say businesses can't make money. I said that there's a difference between someone making enough money to survive and thrive and someone hoarding billions of dollars. Businesses need to be profitable to exist. I agree with that sentiment. I think I should have been more aggressive with sacking my Hope of the Ghirapur in that last game. If I would have done that on one of those key turns, we probably would have come out of that okay. I think we play Steel Overseer here. Could go either way. Good chance this just eats a Bloodchief Thirst or a Fatal Push. Scale of 1 to dead. Where's the Steel Overseer at? Hoping to draw running lands here for the next 2 or 3 turns. Oh, huh. Hold this back for now. Thanks to the tier 3 Obi Winter. Unfortunately, every single one of the non-school board candidates I voted for on Monday lost their elections. I actually posted a picture of the sample ballot that they have for my district in Illinois, and like 2/3 of the races were Republicans running unopposed. And then the couple of positions where there were decent non-Republicans running, they did not win, and it wasn't particularly close. I'm playing this for 1 here. Okay, so I'm going to animate this. Am I attacking with Blinkmoth, or am I playing Steel Overseer? I think we're just attacking, right? Just put him to 2 and pass. So even if they have a sweeper, they're dead. Yeah, for people wondering why I'm activating these, you can't put Skalds counters on Stonecoil Serpent. Because it's protection for multicolored and Skalds targets. Okay, yep. 1, double 1, tempered steel. Unbanned twin. We've been hoping for that for a long time. Thanks for the 39 months. Welcome back. What happens first, unbanned twin? Do they unban twin in modern or do they print twin into historic? What do we think? You like protection better than hexproof? I think hexproof from a color was an ideal mechanic that they should have done more of. Knight of Malice and whatever the other white knight was that had that mechanic. I think hexproof from a color. I think the ward mechanic is good too, but I liked hexproof from a color a lot more than protection from a color. Are they dead? I think they're dead, right? Man, punishing greedy ramp control players is my kink, chat. Nice deck. Yeah, you can't keep hands like this. People need to mulligan more, chat. You can't keep hands like what my opponent kept there with no interaction against my efficient aggro deck. I like this build a lot. Is this deck gaining anything from Strixhaven? We're gonna get Rip Apart in the sideboard over probably some of the Abrade and maybe over the Deccan Stones. I don't think this is a Lightning Helix deck, just because like we're playing colorless lands and we don't really need the life gain. Karn Scion of Urza was super impressive in the games that we played with it today. I honestly think after this set today, I don't think I want all four, but I think I'd split this 3-1 in favor of Karn. The white counterspell. Oh yeah, the new red-white split. Your opponent can't play spells or activate abilities. Oh, you're talking about Mana Tithe? No, I was thinking the Silence flip card, I think could potentially be good. Maybe Mana Tithe is good. This is not a Faithless looting deck, chat. You can tell people haven't played with looting before. Looting is generally speaking not good enough to put in decks that don't have any graveyard synergy in them. Yeah, you put one Mana Tithe in this deck for open deck lists. But yeah, so Karn felt really good. I was trying to, I had this last slot that I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it in this shell, and Karn really feels like the perfect card. It's another piece of card advantage with Showdown. It's something that allows us to beat down. Honestly, after how those games played out, I might do this. This card we don't usually want to cast on for, and the fact that this puts a huge thing into play right away, yeah, I think I'd actually end here. And I'll have to think about this a little bit in terms of the Silence flip card and Rip Apart. Those would be the two cards I think I'd want out of Strixhaven. I don't really think this wants any of the mystical archives. But yeah, this core feels very good. It's got a good proactive game plan. It's a little bit interactive. It can grind with card advantage against control decks in a way that feels good. So if you like the cards this deck is playing, I think this deck is very reasonably competitive. We played it a number of times before on stream. You can find other segments with it on my YouTube channel. All right, we're going to shift gears. We had a deck donation for some red-black shadow. Play some more historic here.